It's Tori. That's me in 1993. I'm a geek and I'm not a public speaker, so you'll have to excuse me, I'll do my best. I started building internet service in 1993 in this county, and actually brought the first internet to the state of Missouri in St. Francis County, which made me the first woman ISP. And during those times, there was no Facebook, there was no Twitter, no social networking. We had to build the internet. So we started out with dial-up, went to DSL, and then in 2000 we found this magic thing called wireless. So in 2000, I started building networks, wireless networks in St. Louis. And wireless is difficult. You have to have a high altitude to make the signal work. It's called a Fresnel zone. That's me up on the Gold Tower in Westport in Maryland Heights, where I built my first network. And because wireless was a new technology, we had to create an industry association so that we could tell Washington, D.C. about this new technology that was going to be able to go out into rural areas, that was going to be able to change the nation as far as how we connected through our mass media. So we started an organization called WISPA, the Wireless Internet Service Providers Association. I was elected on the board of directors not once, but twice, and they wanted me on there a third time and said, no, that was enough. They sent us to DC, where we lobbied for fixed wireless. And I sort of got to know politics, politicians a little bit in that venue. I spoke at Fort McNair, at the National War College for disaster communications, explaining how wireless would really change the landscape for our first responders. Well, after over 2 decades in the industry, I retired. Said goodbye to high-rises, because that wasn't enough. Because climbing high-rises and towers just wasn't a thing for a 60-year-old woman to do. So I got myself a place out in the woods because, next slide, I saw where our country was going. Well, I started out with a dog first, so you have to have a good dog if you're living out in the woods. Next slide. And that's my lake, and I decided to sort of hunker down because I saw that where our nation is going. And it's not going in a good direction, folks. We're in trouble. And I thought that maybe I could just prepare, batten down, duck for cover, and I could escape it. But then July came around of last year, and 4 of my Marine Corps recruiters were slaughtered in Chattanooga, Tennessee. I joined the United States Marine Corps when I was 19 years old. Vietnam War was raging on, and there were people that were dodging the draft, and I felt it my duty to my country to join. In those days, we trained the same as the guys. We had the same training course as the guys. And that's why we had such a high attrition rate of women Marines. And during Vietnam, there were only less than 3,000 women Marines that served. And I guess I'm just hard-headed, but I made it through there. And that's why my oath is so precious to me, because I believe in our country. Next slide. In 2010, I joined the Oath Keepers. Well, I'm an Oath Keeper, and I thought that, you know, this is a perfect group for me to be involved with, because there are folks here that are veterans, that are active duty, that are sheriff, Leo, and these people believe in our Constitution and believe in their oath of service, because it's not something that just goes away. It's a pact with God that you make, and you just can't make that go away. So in 2010, I worked with Jim Krause, who's here in our audience, and we were the Missouri Forum moderators for our national forum. In that July, after my Marine Corps recruiters were slaughtered, I got a call from Stuart Rhodes, who's founder of Oath Keepers, and they were organizing Operation Protect Our Protectors. And he said, what you need to do, you need to organize an armed patrol for our recruiters, because the military is not allowing them to have weapons, not allowing them to protect ourselves. This is Thomas Young. He was one of our last to stand at the patrol. We were there for many weeks. And so what the Marine Corps recruiters were told to do was not to wear their uniform into the recruiting stations. And that's how they're to protect themselves. So here's my Marine Corps recruiter and his PTs. What a country we're in. So that's when my community service started. It was in July of last year, and I haven't stopped since then. And I don't know what the heck I'm doing, folks. All I know is that we've got to do something because we're in big trouble. And I think that during this presentation you're going to see today how much trouble we're in. I'm going to go ahead and read off our speaker agenda. We're going to start out with Tim Huff and Thomas Young. They're going to be our color guard, our national anthem and pledge. Bob Parker's going to come on. It will be our MC for half the afternoon. He'll be bringing in our prayer and introduction. I haven't seen Linda Black come in, so Senator Romine, then he'll take the next speaking slot. We have Iron County Commissioner Skaggs with us. Cynthia Davis is going to talk to us about our Constitutional Amendment 1. She's also a vendor here with her Christian bookstore, Back to Basics. And Marie Lassiter. Have I seen Marie show up? Marie Lassiter, she's has her Master's of Science in Nursing. She's the director of Texas County Medical Reserve Corps. She's also running for county coroner for Texas County. And she's going to talk to us about fluoridation, worsening the lead crisis in Flint in your town. Then Doug Inyart, we're going to take a 20-minute break then at that point. Doug Inyart will then return as our Masters of Ceremony, and he's going to speak about DNR responsibilities. Doug's also here as a vendor, and he's representing the Constitution Party of Missouri. He is the state director. We're then going to see Ike Skelton, and Ike Skelton is going to talk to us about UN Agenda 21. You know, when I was an ISP, I was on the internet in very early days, and we saw these things, that the UN was going to take over our nation and so on, and they called us conspiracy theorists. In fact, my executive director of Westwood put a tinfoil hat on me one day and posted it on the internet. But you know what? We weren't conspiracy theorists, we're critical thinkers. There's a big difference. You know, a conspiracy theorist goes on sort of a nut thing, and we're going to show you today that we're right. Kevin Jost, I'm really glad to have him with us today. He is a police chief of Somerville, Missouri, and he's a sheriff candidate for Oregon County and running for a constitutional sheriff. We only have two positions in this country that are the power positions in our nation, and that's our president and that's our constitutional sheriff. You can have a president and he can be out there, but as long as you've got a constitutional sheriff, your back door is locked. And you have to have that an extremely important position that you have to have filled in your county. And you've got to make sure that your sheriff understands the Constitution. Then we're going to have Gary Matheny. Gary is an attorney in Farmington. He's going to be speaking about the indispensable right of private property. Gary's also a vendor here, and we'll be talking about his campaign. John Schell is here today, and he's running for U.S. congressional candidate for the Missouri 8th Congressional District. And he will be speaking to us about individual rights. Michael Don Stack, my friend here, that helped me organize this and sort of talk me through some of the rough spots. He's going to be speaking about theft is the wrong message to send to our citizens. It certainly is. Pam Arthur is here from Kansas City. She has a website called Preparedness Now. She's a vendor here, and she's going to be speaking about being prepared. We all need to be prepared in these days. You know, some Mormons talk about having 6 months of food, and you just need to be prepared because we don't know where we're going in this country. Things are just going so awry. Tessa Marler is over here. She is a writer for us for our website, wecat.org. It's for, WeCat stands for We the People, Committee Action Teams, or we call ourselves Committees of Safety. And we put out a website that we hope to eventually upload to WISP networks, wireless internet service providers networks, and it has survival information. Should we ever lose the internet, The WISP has a unique ability to have two-way traffic because they have what's called an intranet. So they can take information that they have already pre-stored on a server and still send out that information when there's no internet. So if you're connected to a WISP, and we have 2 of them here in this area, then you've got a good service provider. Cam Huff is going to close for us, and he is going to talk about growing up in Glover. He's got a slideshow that I think that's going to be very interesting. It's going to show you exactly the lead damage that was caused by a Sarco and how it's affected our lead belt. What's going on here on these Sarco funds, this is sort of a dual purpose rally because of the fact that we're looking at the Sarco funds and that abuse there, but we're also looking at property rights because they intertwine with each other. I have donation jugs in the back, and so after I pay the bills, and if there's anything left over, I will be running for House Representative District 145. I'll be running on the Constitution Party ticket. I go to Jefferson City next week to turn in my paperwork. And I believe serving the public, it's not an option, it's an obligation. Next slide. Color guard.